What up, y'all? It's T-Tar. Today we're looking at more of y'all's theories for Pokemon in 2024. Let's go. Ooh, Pokemon 2024. So this is building on our Let's Go Johto idea, but there's an interesting take on it. Hi, T-Tar. There's something that not enough people are talking about, and that is Pokemon Legends Arceus is a one game and sold almost as much as BDSP, which are 2 games. They mean a one version game. So when you think about it, the Pokemon company will definitely make the next Legends game 2 games. It's such a simple idea, but this is pretty interesting. Now, there is some uniqueness to having it as one game, but this is the Pokemon world, right? Aside from sister games, you know, Platinum, Crystal, Emerald, Pokemon never settles for one games, even in their spin-off games. I mean, if you take out like Pokemon Conquest and stuff, even Mystery Dungeon Red and Blue, Explorers of Time and Darkness. If Legends Arceus was so popular, because at first it was just a trial run, right? They delivered it. They're like, I hope people enjoy it. We don't want to put too much out there. Just a simple game to see how it does. Now that it's clearly succeeded, 15 million sales, unbelievable. It's actually possible the next game is 2 versions to like the same game essentially. So they're saying Pokemon Legends Ho-Oh and Pokemon Legends Lugia. This is a good idea. See, in my opinion, for why Pokemon does 2 versions, this isn't set in stone, no one knows. For me, it looks like they try to build this sense of community. So one person gets one version, you hook up with friends who get the other version, and some people also buy both versions. But also, you know, between the 2 games, you have to trade to get version exclusive trade evolutions. You know, you can see the meta game and filling up the Pokedex is a big part of the games. It's just to like get everyone together as a community. They try to make it this like whole world that you can jump into. So when you're buying the next games, you like pick your version that you're gonna sign in with. So as weird as this sounds at first, Pokemon Legends Ho-Oh and Lugia, it starts to work after all. This is like a proper answer to Game Freak's conundrum right now, right? They made Legends Arceus, but every Pokemon after is not as interesting as Arceus. I made a video about Pokemon Legends Celebi where I made Celebi as interesting as possible, and that is a bomb game. But if something like that doesn't happen, this is like an easy answer to Pokemon. All they gotta do is use the cover legendaries again. So Pokemon Legends Ho-Oh and Lugia. When we get to Gen 3, I suppose Pokemon Legends Kyogre and Groudon, it does start to get weird after a while, because Game Freak shouldn't allow people to confuse it with the actual games that they're the covers of. So one difference is Pokemon Gold and Silver have Lugia and Ho-Oh on the cover. These games, instead of having the cover mascots, they would just have appropriate sceneries, right? Just like Legends Arceus. Legends Ho-Oh, you imagine this kind of fall-themed Ecruteak City, the orange leaves and the tower in the distance. And then Legends Lugia, also Ecruteak City, but a more blue theme to it, and Lugia's tower in the distance, but a nice scenery for both. That works, but it's the same game. They're not different games. And you can see Game Freak's thought process leading to this, because in Legends Arceus, they couldn't figure out how to tie both Dialga and Palkia to the plot separately. They still split into 2 versions ultimately, depending on which clan you pick, which essentially shows the 2 versions of Legends Arceus. In one version of Legends Arceus, it would have been more focused on the Pearl clan. Erdo would be the one that Almighty Sinnoh would talk to, Palkia would warn you, and Origin Dialga would be the boss. And then the complete opposite for the other game. So seeing as Game Freak still went down the path of splitting it into 2 versions, even within Legends Arceus, this sounds very possible. The only issue I can see Game Freak thinking with this is just hoping fans don't confuse this for Gold and Silver, especially if this year is 2 Johto games, ILC working on simple remakes, Game Freak's working on these Legends games. They don't want people to confuse this for the ILCA games. But hold up. No. There's layers to this, because what we're speculating on the channel is it's not Gold and Silver remakes, it's a Pokemon Crystal remake, right? So if ILCA makes a Crystal remake, it's kind of clever, because Ho and Lugia will be missing from the ILCA side of the hype season's promotional artwork. So it'll all fall on the Legend side, so people wouldn't confuse it, especially on the shelves. We got a Suicune on the cover for the simple remakes, and then this Legends Ho-Oh and Lugia. This is the perfect setup. This even sets even further that they should do a Crystal remake. This feels so Pokemon 2. You know, Pokemon Day comes, you can just imagine the covers I described, but it's 2 games for Legends. Also, in a Pokemon Legends Ho-Oh and Lugia, it can still ultimately tell kind of the same Celebi story I was telling, you know, with the new Celebi form and all, because Pokemon Legends Arceus wasn't even that big of the focus. But yeah, in a Legends Lugia and Ho, you can just suspect there are new Ho and Lugia forms. We made a whole video on this. So yeah, back to why I think Pokemon does 2 versions. I don't think it's gonna get them too many more sales doing this. Like, I don't think it's not gonna double their sales, right? It's not like Legends Arceus sold 50 million, so let's make 2 and get 30 million. It might add like an extra million because there's just like an overall party that people feel like they're missing out on. When there's these 2 new games out, people are trading within each other. You just want to join the race, pick your side, and see what everyone's talking about, right? I think that's kind of what Game Freak tries to do with these 2 versions. There's a lot of cool things they can do for this Legends Johto game, right? If Game Freak wants to still do the whole you're pulled from a different timeline crap, they can do the same scenario but in reverse by having us be like this character from the past, and you involve Celebi because it's the Johto Pokemon, and it actually takes you from the past to the current era. Well, the current era would be like that time period, which we hope is like 150 years ago. Listen, the ultimate thing that could happen is we're not a time traveler at all, but we get to play as what looks like Ethan and Lyra back in those days, and they all have the traditional hairstyles, and you just chalk it up to them being ancestors. I think something they were trying to do in Legends Arceus is keep the same looking character for those games, so you just associate it with everything Sinnoh. So if they want to keep that up, there's a better way to do it than pulling them from the future. That's all I'm saying. Make sure y'all shank that like button. Let me know your thoughts. Do you agree that it could be 2 versions? There's just 4 weeks until Pokemon Day. We're almost at the final stretch where all answers will be told. Anyhow, I got more to talk about, so I'll see y'all either later today or tomorrow. Take care.